Hello, it's Robin Da Vinci again. How are you? I am wanting to talk for a few minutes about how to fight against inflation, how to survive this inflationary time in our country, and understand that it's going on all over the world. And while we may have a one-digit inflation percentage, like 7 or 8%, some countries are experiencing 30 to 40% inflation. So unfortunately, it is all over the world, and the world is struggling. Now, part of the problem right now is that the pandemic slowed things down, shut things down, cost a lot of money to handle. We're trying to fight back now, and we're seeing the most inflation in housing, utilities, gasoline, and food. And of course, those are the essentials for everybody. Where I live, how my house works, what I eat, and how do I get to work and back, or how do I pay for my car? You know, the same things that have happened throughout history and the advice that I can give you are the same pieces of advice that I would give you 50 years ago. Spend less, try and save, eat at home, drive less, turn off lights, don't waste water, don't use so many utilities, try and share costs with people, ride share to work, see if the bus system works in your community, try and do more simple things. We talk about going to the movies, and I remember going to the movies when it was date night and it wasn't that expensive. Now going to the movies for two people is $60. And you talk about people still spending that. Well, I don't want to destroy the movie industry, but I'm telling you, if it costs $60 for two people to go to the movies and you don't have the $60, you can't go to the movies. And this is where inflation drives everyone crazy. What we're saying is, to fight inflation, you have to make a personal sacrifice. You have to not do things. You have to not buy things. You have to look at your personal finances. Now, I don't want malls to go out of business, and I don't want the movie industry to lose money, and I'm not looking for utility prices to go any higher. But what I'm saying is, when there's inflationary times, people have to dial back. Self-discipline and dialing back is something that's very hard for all of us to do, because there were several years there where we were used to buying what we wanted. We were used to getting what we needed and wanted. We're used to going on Amazon and clicking a button and having something the next day. We're used to saying, oh gosh, I bought that last year and it was only $34. Now it's $42. It doesn't occur to us in that exchange with our left side conscience and our right side conscience. It doesn't appear to be obvious that we should say no. If your product went up 25% since the last time you bought it, or 15% or 20%, maybe you can't buy it. And we don't do that a lot in this society, because we've learned that we can have what we want, we deserve what we want, and we need it. And so those kind of emotional buys are what makes inflation harder to live with. No, you can't have stuff. No, you should stop doing that. No, don't buy that right now. See where you can get a coupon or a discount. Buy a product similar that's less. Do some research. Those kind of things. Look at your cable bill. Do you have a lot of channels that you don't need? Cut them out. Reduce your cable by $80 a month. That could put more food on the table. What we're not doing is we're not analyzing our financial picture and how we can fight inflation. You should put more money away. If you have $100 at the end of the month, see if you can get in the stock market and buy some bonds or something that's safe. Play around with it a little. Start looking at that in a very positive way. Put money in a savings account. Savings accounts are getting a little more money nowadays. Shop around for a bank that's paying a good interest rate. If you have a lot of money and you're listening to this, make sure all your money isn't in one bank under one tax ID number, so that if a bank goes under, your money doesn't go with it. You're only insured up to $250,000. Do research. Move your money around. Make sure it's safe. Talk to your kids. If you're a parent fighting inflation and you're struggling with it, sit your children down and explain it to them. We can't go out as much with this food. We can't go to Disneyland. We may not be able to go to the movies. We've got to stop driving as much. Maybe you can ride your bike to school. Maybe you can walk a few days. All of those things that require self-sacrifice are things we tossed out after World War II and said, we don't have to self-sacrifice anymore. Yeah, we do. It's kind of sad, but we really do have to self-sacrifice. We have to say, well, I can't afford that. And people say to me, well, rich people don't have to worry about inflation. Well, sure they do. They may not worry about it on the same level, but everybody needs to worry about inflation. Everybody needs to do their part, and everybody needs to sit down and stop having an emotional response to money in times like this. They need to have a practical and level-headed response. Eat out less, do less, drive less, turn lights off, use less water, get your kids to save, use that bath towel 4 times instead of once. After all, when you get out of the bathtub or the shower, you're clean, so you don't need to throw the towel in the washer right away. Use it a few days. I mean, talk about craziness. My grandparents lived through the Depression. They had nothing. That's not where we're at right now, but we are pretty self-indulgent, and I'm asking you to be less indulgent and more practical, because that's how you fight inflation. Less indulgent, more practical. Look at your big ticket items. How can you cut back? How can you spend less? How can you be more thrifty? And how can the whole family sit down and say, you know what? We need to have a smaller utility bill. We need to use less gasoline in the car. What steps can we take to eat at home more and not spend so much money? That's the only way. And groceries are high, I know it, but if you buy practical, if you get some chickens and a salad and baked potatoes and buy different things that are sustainable, that are less expensive, you can get through this. And I'm telling you, we need to get through it, because we can't have all these people throwing these high dollar price things at us, high ticket items at us, and expect us to just raise everything by 25% when we're not getting salary to match. Cut back. We've done it throughout history. We're going to do it again.